Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Season 2 finale of the Variety Gaming Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the holiday break as much as we did. Sadly, it's time to pick up those bootstraps and get back to the MMO grind. Now, after I was ousted for my poor mic quality prior to the holiday break, we did successfully get moved over to our new city. We're settling into our new place, and the setup is coming together nicely. But more importantly, we're back to gaming. And what a season 2 we had. We covered many games, we learned a lot about ourselves as creators, and we had a lot of fun doing it all. Atrax, tell us what we covered so far this season.
Welcome back, Rayu, by the way. I have to say, I did miss you. It was... It was a lot of work towards the end. Well, as we talk about some of the games and segments that I did, I had to do the last 3 episodes more or less solo. I did have help from a good friend of the show, Feta, for one of the episodes, but even so, it was tough. So welcome back. You were very much missed, and I'm sure all of our listeners out there missed you as well. And yeah, man, it was a fun season. Sadly, I didn't get to finish my Spider-Man video that I've been working on. I'm halfway through Miles Morales. I thought that Spider-Man 1 would take me less time, but it took me 40 hours. And I was determined to 100% all of them, like I did with the original Spider-Man 2 over and over back in the day. It's taking a lot longer than I thought. So I've been pouring a ton of hours into the Spider-Man games. I'm having a great time, but that video will have to wait until later in season 3. But way back early on, before season 2 even started, we had a discussion of what did we want to accomplish and try and push for more in season 2. And one of the things was a little bit more social media presence, just updating people or getting out there and liking and retweeting stuff that we as variety gamers enjoy, or fun news and stuff like that, just to try and be a little bit more available, because there isn't really a way to get into contact with us and talk about games unless you've got our Discords or you play the games that we do or something like that. So we did join Blue Sky. We got Variety Gaming Podcast on Blue Sky. If you've heard the last few episodes, that was one of the big fun highlights of the season, which it's not really that big of a thing, but even so, it was something that we wanted to do and be regular with, and we did. So that's been a lot of fun, and connecting with quite a few of you. It has been enjoyable. I've got to see at least a couple of cool games. And Blue Sky is it's a different beast than X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. So I haven't spent a ton of time, but the little time that I have explored, it's been enjoyable. And thank you for all of the people. I think we're over 150 followers now on Blue Skies. Shout out to all of you. That's been super awesome. And also, we got all the video. So Spotify allows you to upload video to your podcast episodes now. They started that back in 2024 during our season 2. And so we uploaded all the videos and all the past episodes. So now Spotify and YouTube have the videos, so you can watch the games that we're playing as we're talking about them. I'm not sure what I'm going to edit for this first few minutes. Who knows? We'll pick our favorite game or something. But even so, there's video now, so you can watch the games that we are talking about as you're listening, or you can just listen. That's totally up to you. But that's been a little bit of work, but also was a goal that we had for season 2 that we accomplished, and I'm proud of it. It's nice to be able to see those video episodes do well as well. The metrics have been good, at least so far. Obviously, through the break, there was a dip, but that's to be expected when you don't put out content regularly. And then we had guests on the show for the first time. Episode, let's see, is it 1920? Anyway, Raccoon, Gears of War, and Pokemon TCG Pocket were the games that we covered when we had our guests. And the idea behind having guests is let them bring a game to us that they really enjoy and are passionate about that we can get involved with. So Feta brought Cocoon as well as Pokemon TCG Pocket, and Chimeri brought Gears of War. So lots of fun to talk about those games and also to have guests on the show for the first time. And that was super exciting. But one of the other things that for me was super exciting, and I know you were excited about it too, Rayu, and really got to enjoy it, was our first game keys as a show. The first time we got to get review keys and play a game and talk about it. And it was a co-op game that is still, I still play it every once in a while. Rayu, tell us about the Spell Brigade.
It was a great opportunity, and it, at least as a creator, whenever you get those first review copies of anything, I mean a software, a video game, a movie, whatever, it's like, okay, you know, we're getting some traction, we're finally building a name for ourselves in this space. And you know, again, shout out to the guys over at the Spell Brigade for giving us those keys. That episode was a lot of fun to record and to play the game. I know I've gone back and played it a few different times, just the different builds and trying to unlock everything. I'm always a big fan of roguelike, so this one just kind of set well with me and just was a great opportunity to kick off doing review copies of games. Speaking of games, we did cover a lot, as I mentioned, and I think by far my favorite one that we covered was Throne and Liberty and our Back in My Day segment. Those were fun. Because you don't realize how old you are until you go back in your day and you say, oh, this is what happened and this is what I played. But yeah, it was a good episode. Throne and Liberty had just been released. We came into the game, at least I did. I came into the game with a lot of hype and a lot of enthusiasm for it. I'd played in a lot of the different betas and had access to some of the testing phases, which was really cool to experience. And then seeing the game fully launch the way that it did, getting involved with some of the different members of our community, making a guild, playing as much as we did. I think I have like 300 hours in that game as well, but I've kind of put that one down for a while. I've been jumping into other things. Recently just started playing Atlas Fallen Sand. So, you know, that'll be something that I'll have to revisit with Throne and Liberty.
No, you don't have to revisit it. Don't bother.
Hey.
I literally fell asleep, and that's all I'll say.
That's unfortunate. But something that you can't fall asleep in is Frostpunk 2, because if you fall asleep, your people are going to die.
Yeah.
The cold and everything. It's funny, though, because now it's winter, and where I have relocated to, I am getting a feeling of what it's like to be in the Frostpunk universe, as it was negative this last weekend. So, but Frostpunk 2 and the subscription shuffle, that was an interesting little tidbit there. But I liked Frostpunk 2. Again, it was a nice little continuation from the first game, and just the graphics, the attention to detail the game had, it the amount of, I guess, attention you had to pay while playing that game, otherwise you would miss like certain interactions, or you would, you know, run out of time and then your people are going to freeze or run out of food. It just made that game really interesting, really appealing, especially if you do like the strategy turn-based type games. HX, what else did we cover?
Okay, so the next game on the list, going through, we're going through in order, by the way. So if you want to check out the season 2 playlist, I think Spotify also separates out seasons. So if you're curious, I want to go back to these episodes, just scroll through the episode list and you'll see they'll be named, and you can listen to the episodes that we're talking about. But a game that I feel we really should have spent more time on, and this kind of this game in particular is why we're slightly changing things in season 3 to be able to go in depth more on some of these games. Kingdom Hearts, we've played it so much, but I didn't even like get to fully beat the first one. Like, I got close, but I didn't get to fully beat it, and it made me kind of feel like and especially when we did the episode, I felt we could have done just a little bit more. And so hopefully we get to revisit that game as well in the future. But it featured my favorite segment that we have on the show. What's that game? And for those that don't know, what's that game is basically describe a game poorly and have the other person guess what it is. So, like in one of the episodes, one of the questions or one of the prompts I had was punch a tree to kill a dragon. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to go listen to it to figure it out, or maybe you just already know. But it was fun to hear Rayu try and figure it out. And I had some, I'm sure Rayu remembers, I don't, but I had some that I could not get either. So it's fun to go back and forth and give like subtle hints that are still like incredibly vague and maybe makes a person guess even more. That's definitely one of my favorite segments that we have on the show. And again, the game was good. I think we need to revisit it, but love that segment. And we'll probably have that in, well, not probably, we'll have that segment in season 3. Another game that we covered, the next game that we covered, Black Ops 6. And we also had the beta gamer segment with Monster Hunter Wilds, which I am really, really excited for. Comes out in February, end of February. But Black Ops 6, that game I really like. I played a lot of it because it was on Game Pass. And I thought, well, it's good. It's good for a Game Pass game. Now at the end of the season, I still feel that way. It's just I would not pay full price for it. Maybe $40, I think, if it came with the battle pass. I genuinely feel like that's what the actual value of Black Ops 6 is personally. Some out there might disagree, and that's fine. It's priced at what, $70, something like that right now. But even so, I do enjoy the game. It's not that I dislike the game. I just think it's priced too high. And so having it on Game Pass, I still hold to that feeling of it's fun to just hop in every once in a while with the homies, play that game, or maybe some zombies or something, run around, and then dip out after a night or two. It's not the main game, but it's not the worst either. And I think, Rayu, do you feel kind of the same way? I mean, I think you enjoy it more than I do, though.
So when it first came out, I was playing it a lot. Like I was playing multiplayer on a regular basis. I completed both Easter eggs. I did the guided tour, the guided Easter egg path when that was released. But I'll be honest, it kind of just fell off for me. I've been in we've done a lot of games, and competitive shooters aren't really my vibe that much anymore these days. I'm old. Back in my day, we didn't have the movement mechanics that they have in these games. It was all just run and gun. You could drop shot and that was about it. But no, I enjoyed Black Ops 6. It was a fun game. And I think I will agree with you that $70 for that game is a bit much, just because its only real niche is that you have the progression system with prestiging and multiplayer. I do appreciate that the prestiging system was brought back to like the original standpoint, where you have unlocked tokens, but you have to re-unlock everything again. That makes it a little bit more enjoyable and better than the previous ones. However, I just can't sit for hours on end playing it anymore. There are much more in-depth and enjoyable games out there that I can get into and sink my time in. If it can't hold my attention for more than that, then meh. But I will pick it up if other folks want to play it again. It's on Game Pass, so just, hey, we're going to play some Black Ops 6, do some zombies. Yeah, that's fine. We gave it a shot. We did. In addition, We Were Here was a game that Atrax
There you go.
made me play.
What? Dude, that game was good, though. No, you can't say that game was dope. That game was awesome.
So since Atrax and I have been doing this show, we've gotten a lot more co-op games, or we've been playing a lot more co-op games. At least that's how it's felt for me for some of the other games that we've played. When we originally, back in season 1, did the episode on Malice, on Why So Negative, we had that segment. It was like
11.
episode
I think it was 11.
11?
11. Monster
Episode,
Hunter and
yeah, episode 11. Why so negative? We did Malice, and that was mine and Atrax's first instance of co-op gameplay. And then when we get into We Were Here, and it's like, okay, we have a little bit more of an understanding, but we were still very confused until I switched over and took the role that he was doing, and he took over the role that I was doing, and I had already known what I was looking for. But yeah, that was a very interesting game, and it made me kind of enjoy the co-op genre more, and the fact that there's a whole series of We Were Here, and I think it's like We Were Here 2, and there's a bunch of them.
We Were Here Together, ton of them.
Really good title, really, really nicely done for a co-op. I wish, we should go back and finish that one. We should go back and finish. I'm telling you, man. But it was
play We Were Here too and finish that one and cover it. I don't know. Now we're just getting crazy.
Yeah. But we also had our Gamer's Guide to the Galaxy. This was a really fun segment. I know for my work, I do a lot of traveling, and there are some gamers out there who do travel as well. And maybe they have laptops or Switches or Steam Decks or what have you. We just kind of covered some of the things that we like to make mental notes of for ourselves when we're traveling, talking about rechargeable batteries or laptop stands, downloading things, just kind of making a list of what we need. So this was a cool little fun segment that me and Atrax got to chime in our 2 cents on.
I'm going to repeat one of the suggestions from that Gamer's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't be that person who has no idea what to do at the airport security checkout with your gaming technology, and you're holding up the line and everybody's looking at you like, come on, man. You know, like you've got all these like cords and this and that. Bag up your cords properly. Put your laptop ready so you can just pull it out and put it in its own bin if you've got one. Like, be ready to go at the security. And every security checkpoint is different. So check your airport's website to see like what they want where, because that causes so many issues. And I've had so many embarrassing moments of people just being like, hurry up, you're holding up the line. We're trying to make an airplane, hurry up. And it's just you don't want to be that person. Be ready. There you go.
Definitely got to be ready for stuff like that. Next up was Cocoon. This and our Feta interview. This was a fun segment. This was a fun game with Cocoon. This was one that Feta had thrown out there for us to cover. It was a nice little change of pace from some of the games that we had covered in the past, leading up to that episode. It was much slower. It was very, very beautiful to run around. It was very simple. It was, the art style was different, but it was captivating. The mechanics were not too difficult or complicated. It really, I feel, was the definition of a chill game. If you're not wanting the challenge, or if you're not wanting to, a Dark Souls level challenge of things, but you just want to unwind before bed, then Cocoon was certainly a game that we could recommend for everybody. And then we took a little bit of time to get to know our friend Feta just a little bit better. He has his minifigure painting. He also does stream occasionally over on Twitch as well. I think he's actually playing Enshrouded with a buddy. That's what he was playing last time over on Twitch. So be sure you check him out at Feta Mini Painting. Cool guy. Enjoy some of the minifigures that he has, but he's also our local tabletop guru.
Mm-hmm. Go to tabletop aficionado. He knows everything. He's going to say he doesn't, but to us, he knows everything. So
he really does. Look forward to having him back at season 3. Certainly going to cover some tabletop games next season.
And I also want to say, so this is some fun lore for these 2 episodes here. The next episode, the episode we're talking about, Cocoon, and the next episode, we tried really hard to work ahead and plan ahead to get episodes ready for the holiday season when Rayu would be moving and when I would have time off work and be potentially doing other stuff, if not doing the show. And so we planned out like, okay, we'll record this interview with Chimeri and that'll be like our first guest. And so we recorded that weeks in advance, I think even like a month in advance. It was supposed to come out towards the Thanksgiving holiday, and we recorded it back in like October or something like that. So we tried really hard to count these episodes out and everything like that. And then we actually get there and we realize we miscounted by one. And so it was like a huge scramble to get Feta together and play Cocoon. And Rayu and I were playing for hours. I was staying up pretty late trying to get Cocoon done and just an absolute crazy, like, back and forth. And so, yes, technically Chimera was the very first guest. He recorded the episode well in advance. So thank you, Chimera, for doing that and bringing us Gears of War, which was a game that I hadn't thought about in a long, long time. I'm sure it didn't look like that on the outside, but I just had to share that like fun little lore of we tried so hard and we still screwed it up. Just like,
if anything to take away, we can't count. At the Variety Gaming Podcast, we can't count.
That's it. We can't count, and it produced a fun cascade effect, and we ended up just mad rushing to get some stuff done and moving fast like the Indie Game 500. Yeah, see that segue? Boom. Didn't see that one coming. 200 miles an hour right out of nowhere. And Remnant 2, which Remnant 2, that was one of the games that we announced in the season 1 finale of the show. Remnant 2, and I was really excited to be able to play it because they had some new DLC that had launched. Unfortunately, when we got to it, I didn't get to make it to the DLC, but regardless, I had a lot of fun playing through it again. And in my previous playthrough of Remnant 2, I played solo, and this time I had my co-host Rayu here to join alongside me, and we even got some cool recordings of like both of us playing at the same time, which was always a lot of fun. So it was cool to see like both POVs. But yeah, Remnant 2 was a lot of fun, and it still is. I still have it on my computer. I hop in maybe like every once in a while. I don't play for very long, but it's still cool to run around, explore, and get some loot and stuff and fight some bosses. Highly recommend. Did you enjoy Remnant 2 as well? I know it's a little bit different for you because you haven't really played. Well, you played Remnant 1, but outside of that.
No, I appreciated it. I really did like Remnant 2. I liked how much more content they added to it, a little bit more versatility with the archetypes. There was actually a lot of versatility with the archetypes, depending on what pathway you wanted to go through. I also appreciated the combat system, got a little bit more of a tune-up than in the first one. The leveling system got a little bit better. It's just overall, it made it a better experience in the second game as opposed to the first game. Not that there was anything wrong with the first game, but it's always the small little things that kind of add up. But it was a fun game, and especially getting able to do it co-op. I really do appreciate these co-op games. The more that we've covered them, the more that I've played them, it makes me miss the days of couch co-op where your buddy would come over to the house, you planned out, you had a big sleepover, and you're all just gaming. You're vibing, having a good time, just couch co-op before the online stuff. I mean, I could think of a couple of games back in the day, like on PlayStation 2, original Xbox, where you grab a second controller. I mean, remember back in the day, there were even attachments that you had to put on these consoles to get more than 4 people to be able to play, or more than 2 people to play. And you would have all these attachments and hook all these extra controllers up, and it was wires for days, and your parents probably got upset because you left the wires out overnight. Anyway, I went down a tangent there.
No, because you got me thinking about controllers. Dude, I remember looking everywhere for the Xbox 360 controller bundle because I could only ever find the one with one controller, and I wanted 2 controllers, but I didn't want to like pay the extra. I just wanted to get it in the bundle. I'm like, I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Having that extra controller for couch co-op, and I wish they would bring it back. Some games are now starting to bring the couch co-op back, or at the very least remote play back. So like one person owns a copy of the game and the other person can download a friend pass and the 2 can play together off of the one copy. But yeah, I definitely miss those days of having. I still have spare controllers just for that reason. Cause I bought an extra PS5 controller this season when I got my PS5, just in case one of the homies comes over, we can play some PS5. I'm with that. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about it.
Oh yeah,
But
even oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna move on and segue it. So if you've got a point on this, you go ahead.
No, it's the
Okay.
picking up the second controller and everything. I still do it. Buddies of mine, every time they buy a new console, it is a second controller that it's a force of habit. I feel like for some of us.
Yeah. And speaking of co-op games, we got the Spell Brigade, which is a great co-op game that we got to cover, and we got review keys. It was our first show. I mean, we said it earlier, but still, it was our first time getting review keys as a show, and our first episode that we got to do. And the game was top tier, is what I would say. Obviously, it has some things that it needs to work on because it's still in early access, but they've said that they're actively working on it, and they've had updates since we've covered it that have been really awesome. So definitely go check out the Spell Brigade, and thank you again for gifting us those keys, both of us, because yeah, that game's a lot of fun, and it's co-op.
Now, these next games that we've got on this list, I have no sense to throw in. I have nothing I can add, contribute, because
That's
this
not
is where
okay. This
Atrax carried the
Okay.
weight of the Variety Gaming podcast on his shoulders.
Yeah, I pulled Brayu into the metaphorical HR room, and I said there have been some complaints.
So let the record show that we do listen to the feedback and
We
make
do.
changes when
We
needed.
try our best. We try our best to listen and improve the show. We do want this to be an entertaining, good show for all of you.
Morale improved after the last beating. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, look, the mic quality is magically better after you get back.
Well, that's all it took.
It
Just an
only took
HR
like
room and a
2
beating.
months. Oh man. No, but so I will say that you can contribute to the actually the next 2 games, which now we get to hear your thought. Oh man. All right. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. So
Yeah.
Pokemon Pocket, this game, Pokemon TCG Pocket, has started a pretty big domino effect for me personally. I have since then gotten into real trading card games, as in like real cards, not just Pokemon Pocket. And I found out you can change languages on Pokemon Pocket. So after I got the 2 complete sets, I've completed Genetic Apex and the Mythical Island. I don't have all the secret cards, but I do have all of the regular, like the numbered cards. So after I got all that, I said, well, if I get secret cards, cool, but I want to still like kind of quote unquote fill out another complete set. So I switched the languages. So now I'm collecting Korean Pokemon cards in TCG Pocket. And because like every time I open up a pack in English, it gives me cards that I already have. But in Korean, at least it's like I don't have the cards yet. I thought about doing Japanese, but I think I'm going to go with Korean instead, just because, I don't know. I'm a fan of T1, the League of Legends team, and they're Korean, so there it is. I'm more tied to the Korean side of gaming than the Japan side. So I went with the Korean cards, and it's been a lot of fun to collect some of them. I already got the Charizard EX, which I was super hype about because Charizard is one of my favorite Pokemon. So, like a lot of people. And got to talk to Feta about PAX Unplugged. He got to go over, I forget where it was. Was it in Chicago or something like that? Either way, go listen to that episode. He got to talk about a lot of really cool games that are either in development or have been released. And we got to hear about just a lot of fun stuff and a lot of really unique games. Did you just pull that, Rayu? While we're talking?
I did. Yeah, I just opened the pack.
What'd you get? Okay, so I'm
I couldn't help myself when we start talking about it.
No, dude, no, this is perfect. This is exactly what the people want. So I'm just talking here, and Ryu slowly brings his phone into the view of his little video, and I just see a Pokemon. What is that? Is that an Articuno?
It's a Articuno EX, and it's the 2 gold star one.
Oh my goodness, full art. Look at
Yep.
that. Well, I don't know. No, you won't be able to see it on the video, unfortunately, unless you take a screenshot of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a
have to,
screenshot. We'll put it in there.
Oh man, I gotta. All right, hold on.
That's funny.
We're gonna make this edit note right here. This is gonna. Oh, it's gonna save me so much time later. Put screenshot. There we go. Boom. Okay. So what was I even saying? Oh yeah. So Feta got to go to PAX Unplugged and interview some people. We didn't get to hear the interviews, but he wrote down some notes about a lot of the games and the developers and his experience. So be sure to go check that out if either you went to PAX Unplugged and you're curious what other people thought, or if you didn't get to go and you're curious what it is. PAX is a video game expo, but PAX Unplugged, no video games whatsoever. So all tabletops and stuff like that. Completely different experience from the other PAX conventions. Definitely a interview that you're going to want to hear about, and hear about Pokemon Pocket. Now, I'm excited to hear about this next game, your thoughts, Rayu, on this next game, because we said we were going to cover it this season in the season 1 finale, and it is a rather difficult game, more or less. Anatria, the last song. I've been following it for a while. I beta tested for it back at PAX East 2023. Not PAX Unplugged. PAX East, got to play Anatria and beta test for it for a while. And then the game released, a lot of fun. And I said, Rayu, we have to play it. We have to cover it. And then I decided to kick him out before, no, I'm just kidding. He was ousted before
No.
could
Tell
cover.
the folks what it was. I got the boot.
Yeah. Yep. And then we didn't get to cover it. So now is your chance, Rayu, to say everything you want about Anatria.
So I really enjoyed playing this game. I really, really did. I have played the Souls-like games before. I've played Elden Ring and beaten Elden Ring. I've enjoyed my experience with Anatria. I appreciate the atmosphere that it's in. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's an Italian-based one, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Italian devs, Italian folklore, everything.
So it's really, really beautiful. Obviously, the scenery. Yeah, I mean, if you can Google pictures of Italy, and I promise you, it's like, oh, it's breathtaking. That's just what it feels like being in the game. Like every little bit of detail, from the water moving, the trees moving, the fire, the interactions with the characters, design, that like the fluidity of the movements with some of the combat. It all just, it showed that the developers cared about this game and that they put their heart and soul into the game. And that's something that, for me, with a Souls-like game, you have to do. You have to make these games where people can keep going back to them, knowing that they're very difficult and knowing that they're punishing. There has to be something that draws people back into them. And for me, the art style of Anatria is what kept me playing that game, despite the difficulties that I was having with it. There were some things that I really, that even now I'm still having a hard time grasping and understanding how to incorporate the mechanic into the combat, and that's with changing the faces. And how, and HX, you tried to explain it to me, and you did a good job of it. Unless I put it into practice, I'm just not going to be able to follow it. But being able to adapt to the different situations and everything like that, and it's certain builds and everything, it's a lot different for me than other Souls-like games, because with the Souls games, you have your build. You kind of follow. It's like, all right, I'm going to do this two-handed weapon. I'm going to do, magic. I'm going to do range and all these other options. But no, now with Anatria, you have essentially loadouts. Like, all right, I'm going to use this loadout for this, use this loadout. And it kind of makes it a little bit easier, but it also doesn't, because there's no real definitive way to say, like, I need this for this, but I don't need this for that, and I got to put all of this together, but I don't need... It's confusing, but I feel like with more time spent on it, it'll come to me. Another thing that I really appreciated with it was the fact that the interactions with the characters. Now, I'm used to Souls-like games where everything is trying to kill you. There's very few NPCs that are not trying to kill you in those types of games. The first town you get into, you don't have to kill the music players. You can walk away from them. You can stand there and listen to the music being played. You can listen to them arguing. You don't have to do anything with it, which was different. Now, you could kill them, and obviously you get credit for, killing them. But it was weird. But it showed me that they're trying to make the world more immersive and keep me in, Italy, essentially. I love that the music was always consistent. And one thing, too, that I appreciated, the NPCs, the masks on all the NPCs were all the different, like, drama faces. If you see drama, you have the happy and the sad next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. Like, seeing that on the NPCs. The destructible environment was really cool. I liked how, there were some areas, like, you would hear an enemy on, like, the other side of this, what appeared to be a solid wall, but then you go and smash through it, and nope, you can go through that wall. Okay, there's a dog there. And then you go and you fight it, and it really felt like I was always encouraged more to explore than just linearly follow this mission and level up and go fight this. Complete the storyline and all that kind of stuff. I was encouraged by taking the time to go explore the world, interact with everybody I could interact with, and I felt like I wasn't wasting time. Outside of that, the boss fights, won't lie, felt more traditional as far as the Souls-like bosses. They're punishing. It's all about timing and making sure that you're able to read the attacks, the patterns, everything like that, which was fine. I mean, now there were some that when you get in close quarters with them are very, very difficult to deal with, because then you have daggum pillars all over the place that you're rolling into, and you don't need to roll into that. Other than that, I really did enjoy it. I love the game, and I can't wait to go back and keep playing it.
Let's go. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I really did too. Be sure to check that episode out. I also talked about World of Warcraft. That was the first solo episode that I did. World of Warcraft with the subscription shuffle. Do. And then the last episode I recorded, I was sick, middle of the break, completely exhausted. We were running around at work and stuff too. Not that it's any excuse, but just I was at the last little bit of energy I had. But I really wanted to record something before the end of the year. So I played TCG Card Shop Simulator. It's something I'm still playing to feed the Pokemon TCG Pocket opening packs addiction. Because in that game, you own a card shop, obviously, and you can like open the actual packs. That game was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend go check it out. But that was the end of the season. It was just, okay, we'll get this last little bit out and amp it up for the next. There were some announcements pertaining to this episode and some of the episodes in the future. I mentioned the Spider-Man episode too. So that was kind of the wrap up of the entire season. I know we took a good long while to just kind of sit and reflect about it, but it was a good season. And hopefully all of you out there enjoyed it as well. The most listened to episode was the first episode, Throne and Liberty and Old Men. And maybe people like me, when I fell asleep in the game, maybe they fell asleep to the episode, so it played longer and it got more it got more views. Nah, I'm just kidding. But thank you to everybody who listened this season, and we hope that you will continue on with us if you are new this season, or if you're from last season. Certainly thank you for sticking through season 2, and we hope that you will enjoy season 3. But before we wrap up this season, I forgot there's one more thing, Rayu, there's one more game. There's one more game that we covered this season. And it wasn't in one specific episode, it was in many. What was it?
Covered is a very strong word, but Foxhole, our game of the season. Foxhole. Atrax, this was one that we had covered back in season 1. We did an episode on, and we both enjoyed it. We really did. And I was excited for this game. However, as unfortunately my gaming ADHD likes to kick in, and I lost interest quickly when we started covering it.
Yeah. Throne and Liberty happened, is what really happened.
I wouldn't say Throne and Liberty was what happened,
It
but
happened. But it happened. It happened.
it
It
happened.
happened.
It happened. Not that there's anything wrong with Foxhole. I want to make that clear. Foxhole is an enjoyable game. PvP combat does have a decent learning curve if you're not familiar with any sort of top-down shooters. And by top-down shooters, I mean Battleborn, or not Battleborn, I'm sorry.
MOBAs, like League
Yeah,
style,
League.
of
League
Legends,
style.
Dota.
Yeah.
And that's in terms of camera, how the camera looks.
Right.
And how you
Camera
move your
looking.
character.
And even the shooting, like even how you fire, it's all based on your mouse placement. So I'm thinking like Dead Island, like the original Dead Island.
Dead Island 1? No.
Yeah, wasn't that controller aim? You had to use the right stick, or
Dead Island was first person.
I'm thinking of another game then. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I remember it was one of the free ones on PS3. Anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
much
top
your
down.
cursor. It's a top-down shooter. So if you're not familiar with top-down shooter combat, then it's something that it does take some time and a learning curve to get used to, especially when you're so limited on a map. And this being as large of a map as it is, and as many different angles that people can hold to shoot you, that they might see you before you see them, type thing. It's something that there is a learning curve to it. So just give yourself time and patience. The game pace for me felt slower unless I was in that PvP action in the thick of a big battle. Anywhere else where you weren't there, it felt like it kind of dragged on, like you had to go find your vehicle or make your vehicle and then drive it all the way wherever you had to go. And it just felt like it was going slower, which is fine. And there's nothing wrong with it. We did sign up to be the logistics for a while, and that was interesting. And then we got farmed in the backfield. But outside of that, overall, I'd give this game a 6 out of 10. Graphics, environment, everything is pretty good with the game. Gameplay, if you can get a group together or if you do immerse yourself in the Foxhole community, this is certainly a game that you can, have fun with. It's doesn't cost you a subscription, doesn't cost you any extra money. Just go have fun.
Yeah, and I'm gonna chime in with my thoughts here. We picked the right faction. Actually, we started off really hot playing the game. Like I played quite a few hours, I think like 10 hours in the first week or two, and I was having a lot of fun, and we were pushing the front and all of this good stuff. And then we kind of fizzled out, which is exactly what the Colonials seem to do. We, get early command of the map and start really pushing, and the Wardens are just not looking like they're going to win. And then all of a sudden, the Wardens just push, and I don't know. That's how it is late on in the war, I suppose. But yeah, we definitely picked the right faction outside of them being green, which makes them the correct faction. The way we played the game kind of fit the way that our faction kind of operated, at least in the couple of wars that we were a part of. For me, I still take part in watching the YouTube videos, specifically Robert Loves Games, the videos that he's been putting out lately, and the increased production that they're doing on that channel over there. Definitely go check them out because it's a lot of funny stuff. It's a lot of entertaining things. And honestly, it's a unique side. Foxhole is a unique side of video games that you can't really get in any other medium. Like you could have this many people, you could have like 1,000 people doing a pseudo war, but the amount of resources it would take would be absolutely insane. And the coordination and everything, being able to do that type of thing in a game is just, it's super cool. It's a lot of fun to make random friends on the front and just be like, yo, we got to push this side. Come on, let's go. And then you get shot and you're like, oh man, I need a medic. And someone comes running up to you. They're like, don't die on me. And they grab you. And they're like running through all of these Colonials. They're like, where's the medic? Where's the medic? Like that's a very unique experience that happens in this game that you can't really get elsewhere. And so to me, that's what makes this game really, really great. The drawback though is that you kind of need a group to play. Or at the very least be willing to get invested in one of the many regiments that are available, which there are plenty, and the community is very welcoming. So it's very easy to get involved. But for us as variety gamers, unfortunately, we couldn't get that involved. And the way the season kind of ran, it just didn't work out for us. For me personally, I give this game actually a 7.5 out of 10 because I think there's something here for every play style. You can be a logistics person just running supplies back and forth if you want to do that like high stakes driving because you need to watch out for roaming groups of enemy players called partisans, and they're trying to blow up your truck and steal all your supplies. So being a uh logi driver like we did for a little bit can be a lot of fun. It is a lot of driving, but the feeling that you are delivering vital supplies to the front it's exhilarating kind of, especially when you know that there are enemy groups around that you need to watch out for. You can be way in the back line just farming stuff and trying to get resources and making things for the front line. Or you can be on the front line and have that high quick paced action and lots of combat and lots of things going on, and these large skirmishes spreading across multiple tiles, and there's naval combat that you can get involved in too. So there really is something here for every play style. And when the airborne updates go live later this summer, maybe end of season 3 into season 4, I really hope we can revisit it, maybe with a group. Maybe there's more people interested, because I think it would be a lot of fun, especially, could you imagine if, Rayu, if we got like a giant paratroop delivery and we just got like 20 people and we were just all crammed in this air carrier and we all paratroop out. Like, that would be so much fun. Even if it was just for a couple of weekends, I think that would be such a fun experience to have gaming wise. So keep an eye out for Foxhole. I personally wish we could have given a lot more time to this game because I do think it deserves it, and it's relatively decently priced too. So the community is great, and it's just the drawback is that it does require, kind of like an MMO, it really does require that time sink, and we just didn't have that this season, unfortunately. So RIP Foxhole for us as at the Variety Gaming Podcast, because I think we should have given it just a little bit more, but it is a good game.
It was a good one. But now, like all good things, Season 2 must come to an end. And we are looking to the future in Season 3.
Season 3!
So with Season 3, after much deliberation, and I'll be honest, we covered a lot of games and went back and forth on some games for a game of the season for Season 3. And we were able to narrow it down to one game that... like the little build-up
we
right
narrowed
there.
it from like 5 down to 3, and then we spent days talking about those 3.
We really did. We made pros and cons lists.
We have a whole sheet of stuff.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time thinking about this.
We did, and I think that the reason is because with Season 2 and Foxhole and how that kind of went down, we wanted to get back to what we had at Season 1, where there was... It's almost like there's a want to play that game, a want to cover that game like we did with the first Descendant. And the game that we narrowed it down to is going to be World of Warcraft Classic. We're not going to do retail. So,
for the Horde!
For the Horde, indeed. We are on the Horde side. We are on the Night Slayer PvP server. Again, it will never, ever... make sense to me how we ended up on a PvP server, but Atrax told me which one to pick, so if you have questions, blame him.
Shout out to Ripsick and Game Hub and the Garian Guild for hosting us for now.
Yep.
If we get too big for our britches, maybe we'll make our own guild, but I'm excited for Classic.
I am too. I had a fun experience playing Classic back when it first launched, and now I think they're getting ready to what, the Burning Crusade is getting ready to come out, or
for the anniversary realms. We'll get more into it, but like, the reason we say World of Warcraft Classic and not retail is because there's so many different like realms and versions of just Classic that Blizzard is putting out that it's really hard. There's hardcore, there's cataclysm, there's season of discovery, there's anniversary realms, there's classic, there's so many. And so we're just focusing on classic for season 3.
Yep. So that's where we're going with that. So you'll be able to catch more about that game or our progress in the game and where we're at as we cover the season. A couple of hot topics for us that we're excited about going into season 3. Monster Hunter Wilds is releasing February 28th. I know that's something when we covered back in season 1, actually, Monster Hunter Worlds. When we covered that game, we mentioned that Wilds was going to be coming out and that we were going to cover the game. A lot of our friends in our circles are excited to play Wilds. I know we got excited when we were able to play the open beta. I'm sorry, not the open beta, just a little test weekend that they had to get a little snippet of the game. So that's coming out on the 28th.
If you want to see that snippet, Black Ops 6 and Beta Gamers episode during season 2. Go check it out.
And we've also decided on our games that each of us want to bring to the table. It's games that we've played, currently playing, and want to dive a little bit further into it. Atrax, what games are you bringing for season 3?
So these are more single player games. Actually, I think one of them is multiplayer. But my games that I've chosen for this season are mostly single player games. One of the struggles that I had in season 2 personally was we didn't plan out games to where we could really give them the time. And so being able to choose these games, the few that I'm choosing, the few that Rayu's choosing, and some of our segments we'll be talking about, are really focused so that we can make sure that the episodes are like really good quality. So the single player games that I've chosen so that we can, I've already started playing one, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I actually got this on PS5 as opposed to PC because I wanted to try covering another console style game, or at least covering a game on console, excuse me. And it is a anime JRPG. It came out this last year. Wow, got to get used to that. We're in 2025. Came out last year in 2024, and I watched some of the gameplay. I avoided some spoilers, but it looked really, really cool to me, and it's been on sale a few times. I finally swooped it up, and so I'm really excited to cover that, as well as another game, Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed. This game I'm also excited for because I played through the demo, and it was also on sale a lot. It was on sale during the winter sale. It was on sale during the autumn sale. It's been on sale a couple times in between. I don't know. It's just on sale like all the time. Really, really great game so far in the demo. You play up to like the first boss. And so I'm super excited to cover that. And it also links into a recurring segment, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but I'm really excited to cover that. And then my last one was actually kind of an impulse choice, but I'm really excited to cover it actually because I think it fits really well with the show.
Impulse. Impulse. This was like you had another game here, and last night said, "Nah, I want to do this one instead," because you went on the Steam sale page.
Well, okay, so I will preface, I was thinking about replacing the last one already anyway. Okay, and then the impulse decision, because like Ray, you said, the Steam page popped up, and I was like, oh man, I think this game is actually perfect to cover for the show, is Red Dead Redemption 2. I played a little bit of it when it first released, but this game has been critically acclaimed for a really long time, and it's one that I just haven't played, and it has been kind of on my list, but it's been way back on the list. And so I immediately swooped it for Rayu and and I'm going to get it downloading soon after I finish a couple of other games and delete them off the hard drive. But those are the three that we'll be covering, at least from my choices: Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed, and Red Dead Redemption 2. But Rayu, I know you've got games you're excited about too. What are they?
I am. So I stayed with the multiplayer co-op aspect to this. And the reason being, I've just been a social gamer for so long now. It's just playing solo, it just doesn't sit well with me for extended periods. I could do a little bit, but the games I've picked are Marvel Rivals. I think this will be our first competitive, our first hero shooter. Yeah. Marvel Rivals, Smite 2, and Deep Rock Galactic. Marvel Rivals came out end of last year and has been kind of a main staple for a lot of the folks that are coming over from Overwatch 2. Heck, even if you played Team Fortress 2, it's a hero shooter and it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it both in regular gameplay and in the competitive scene. It's been fun to try and figure out, do I want to be a tank? Do I want to be support? No. Oh, well, do I want to try this? Try that? It's a lot of fun. So figured Atrax might have a good time with it.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get Chimeri back for that episode.
I think so too. I think that would be a fun
He's
episode.
He's been playing a lot of it.
He has. Smite 2. This one.
We're going to go play right after the show.
Yeah, this one we're going to play right after the show.
I'm going to interject that right away. As soon as we're done here, we're just Smite 2.
Yep. Smite 2 has been something I've been watching. I enjoyed Smite when it originally was out. I played on every platform. I played in alphas. I've played in betas. I've seen the game change for better, for worse through the metas and all that kind of jazz. So Smite 2 releasing on Unreal 5. I wanted to jump into it. Love some of the changes they've done to it. It is still in a beta phase as of right now, but it is free to play to pick up and enjoy the game. I look forward to the full launch of it and see what all changes they do make. And then Deep Rock Galactic. This is a game that I played, I want to say, back almost a couple years ago, 2 years ago. And I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. I really wanted to get into it. But again, like I mentioned, I'm a social gamer. So when people stop playing the game, I just kind of start drifting away towards other things. But it is a fun game. I know Atrax has played it in the past. So I think our shenanigans in bringing the Chaos to Deep Rock Galactic together here on VGP is going to be a hoot to
That's
cover.
That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a fun episode.
Giving you guys that. Now, some of the recurring segments, just want to reiterate that, are going to be coming back, and a new one that is going to be introduced. What's That Game is obviously going to be making its not debut, its presence known in Season 3, because like A-Track mentioned earlier, that's one of our personal favorite segments to do is What's That Game. We are also going to be bringing back the Indie Game 500. Nothing better than covering an indie game, something that may not be in the big name discussion, something that may not be on everybody's radar. But there are indie games out there, case in point, the Spell Brigade, that we feel deserve their moment in the sun. So we'll take a look and see what we can find as those games come down our list. One that we are going to introduce new is going to be called Tabletop Talk. Dear Lord, try saying that 3 times fast. It's
a fun one.
If I'm reading the notes correctly, we're going to be steering this more towards Lorcana and Pokemon. I know that at least for Pokemon, like Atrax mentioned with the Pocket TCG, and then of course his now new addiction to real Pokemon trading cards. And then my wife's fascination with Lorcana, as well as Atrax's fascination with Lorcana.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop in here. So the fascination is it's pretty deep. So Pokemon, I'm collecting one set, trying to go for a complete set there. And then in Lorcana, just yesterday, I went to my local card shop and played in the Lorcana League. And it was a lot of fun. So it will be mostly Lorcana and Pokemon, but we will be introducing this tabletop talk because it will focus on other tabletop games in the future. We had Feta on to talk a lot about various tabletop games, and that's going to continue with minifigures and stuff. I have some friends who want to start a D&D campaign I'm trying to join in about, so we can talk about that if that happens during the season. That's like very loose in the works, but even so, if that happens, then that will also be there. But the main focus, at least for this season, will be Lorcana and Pokemon, because that's what I'm focusing on anyway. And I know, Rayu, you kind of are too.
Yep. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be a very fun Season 3. Lots of changes, lots of same things that we are going to be covering, but we're looking to grow and improve the content as we continue into it. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us for the wrap up of season 2 while we went through our list of the games and segments that we did cover this past season, as well as the highs and lows of our game of the season in Foxhole. We also look forward to the future of season 3 and the wonderful titles that we are bringing to you guys in through those coming months. Find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. Chat with us on X or Blue Sky at Variety Games Pod. And tell us in the YouTube comments how we're doing and what your favorite game of Season 2 was. And what are you looking forward to in Season 3. See you in the next one.